Welcome to the Transform Your Wedding podcast, a how-to guide for taking your wedding to a whole new level. Here's your host, Marie Kubin from Rent My Wedding.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the podcast. Today we're talking all about trends. We'll talk about what's in and what's out for 2021 weddings. I'll be chatting with Desiree Moore-Dent. She is an award-winning certified wedding and event planner. She's the president and lead planner for her company, Dejanae Events, based in Chicago. Desiree also serves as an author and a college instructor for wedding certification courses. So I'm really excited to chat with Desiree and hear all of her tips about upcoming trends. Hi, Desiree. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I am really excited. We've got a new year, which means new wedding trends, and I cannot wait to talk about all the new things that are coming up for this year.
Yes, we have a lot of trends, for 2021. I'm really excited about the changes that are taking place in the industry and looking forward to sharing a few of them with you.
Definitely. And now I know you're going to tell us not only what's in, but also what's out. So
Yes.
we have a lot to cover. I think we can just jump right in and start talking about what's in for this year. So tell us the first trend that you think is going to be really big for 2021.
Well, the first trend I see for 2021 are welcome boxes. So due to COVID this year, there was a lot of movement just trying to make sure that we had sanitation items at the celebrations, weddings, events, but now we want to make it more personalized and branded. And so what couples are going to start doing are actually putting these sanitation items into welcome boxes with a nice little note, miniature hand sanitizers, custom masks, of course, branded, possibly with the couple's name, the wedding date, whatever that looks like for them. Also, maybe some small little desserts or candies in these boxes, and the guests would actually receive them when they arrive either at the church for the ceremony or at the reception location, or they might kind of split them up. But I definitely see this becoming a huge trend because although, obviously things with COVID are moving in a more positive direction, I do feel that 2021, we're still going to be pretty cautious about having larger events. And when we are able to have them, we still want to make sure that all of the safety mechanisms are into place.
Yeah, that's a great point because I think you're right. Even though, the end is in sight, I think we're still going to have a year of needing to be careful. And welcome boxes are such a great way to kind of take that and turn it into something a little more nice and personalized and make it a gift to your guests. So I think that's a really awesome trend and great advice for weddings this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about them, especially the idea of adding a nice little thank you tag, custom ribbons, just making it fun and not just so, out in the open with a hand sanitizing pump and things just laid out. Now we can really clean it up and customize it for the guests that are going to be coming to the event.
Definitely. Keeping it elegant and out of sight so that it's not something that's on guests' minds and they focus on the ceremony and the big day.
Exactly.
Good. So how about the second trend? What's the next one?
Everything is going to be mini. I love little miniature things.
Yes.
And so now we are going to see this as probably in my opinion, the number one trend for celebrations next season. So the idea of, having the hors d'oeuvres, small and miniature, possibly having all of them on one single plate or on one single platter, also even down to the desserts. So the cakes, the days of the 4-tier or 5-tier wedding cakes, we're going to now see more a single wedding cake with small miniature desserts or even small little cakes that can be distributed to the guests as well. Also probably going to be seeing a lot of cocktail stations with more signature drinks, possibly even guests being able to make their own concoction as they go up. But of course, making sure that we still keep with the safety protocols and make sure everything is in place with that. But of course, mini everything, just desserts, cakes, hors d'oeuvres, you name it. Outside of the entrees, we still want to keep those in normal size.
Yeah. Totally agreed. Yeah, I love that. The mini cakes, now that is a cool idea. Can you imagine having little cakes at each person's table at place setting? I think that's such a cool idea. And especially now when we're trying to, not have everything commingled, it's kind of nice. Everyone gets their own mini cake at their spot. I love that.
Yes, and I'm hoping, and I've actually seen it a couple times done, but I'm hoping that, outside of the smaller cake that the couple will cut during their cake ceremony, the mini cakes will actually represent or be a replica of that cake that they cut, possibly having different flavors for guests to choose from, and then coming out on a nice platter with a garnish to just really, really add that elegant touch, that pop, that wow factor to the event.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. All right. So how about trend number 3?
Woo, trend number 3, cozy seating. Cozy, cozy, cozy. As we are all aware, celebrations and weddings right now are smaller. And so couples are trying to fill up spaces because many of the environments in which you have a celebration are for, 100 plus, even up to 200, 300, depending on how large the space holds. And so we're bringing in more of that custom, cozy living room type furniture, creating lounge vignettes, not just for the dancing portion of the reception, but also for the ceremony. So the idea of guests just sitting in chairs, they're not going to be able to sit with their family or their significant other on a nice love seat or a sofa or ottoman, definitely with blankets and pillows. Customize those pillows, yes. Having those items there and just really making it intimate, feeling more family, more home type environment at these celebrations, those ceremonies, as well as the reception. So even blending lounge furniture or living room type furniture with the seating at those reception tables as well. I definitely see that as becoming a huge trend for next year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's one thing that totally enhances the guest experience because, let's face it, people don't want to be on their feet for hours at a cocktail hour. And then those banquet chairs aren't exactly comfortable. So if we can have, nice couches and lounge furniture, I think that's going to just make the guest experience everything. And people are going to want to stick around. You won't have everyone jetting off the second that it's socially okay to do so.
Exactly. And it also is going to evoke, conversation, a lot more conversation, and just having those moments where you can get away if you need to get away from the dance floor and just have a private moment, but also enjoying the couples coming in and taking those photos. I see the photography just being super fun with these type of lounge vignettes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's a nice way to get photos of all your guests. You have the couples or you have the families that are sitting together. And that is way better than when the photographer goes around and everyone's eating and awkwardly trying to pose. So
exactly.
So good. Alrighty. Well, we're on to number 4.
So proposal planning is going to become huge, huge, huge in 2021. So of course, the couples are still saying, will you marry me? Getting down on one knee, presenting a beautiful ring or a band, whatever it may be. But now we're going to see the trend of them really taking time, putting those details together prior to that person saying I do. So possibly having, beautiful floral, great lighting, and then even having an intimate dinner after this person says yes, they will be delighted to marry you. Because the idea that we've seen in the past is that you can bring your family and your friends to some of these proposals and they pop out and say, yay, congratulations. We do have to step away from that just right now based on where we are currently. But these proposal plannings are going to be photographed, they're going to be filmed so that during the wedding, the couples can actually share this moment with their guests, or even share it with them before the wedding is even to take place. And this is really going to be a huge trend for next year. I see it just blowing up. I know a lot of couples have been doing it the right way, as I like to say, when you ask this person to take your hand in marriage, but now they're going to be paying close attention to the details and the overall look and aesthetic of how these proposals are going to take place.
Yeah, I think that's such a great thing to highlight, because you're absolutely right. Now, a lot of it's being captured by photo and video. And so you really want to think about the details and making it look amazing. So I think that's such an interesting and unique trend that's definitely going to be huge for 2021. And I just love the idea of making that proposal really special and then showing everyone at the reception too. I think that's a really nice touch.
Yes, they're almost like mini weddings is what I would like to say.
Yes.
Our weddings have to be, be a little smaller. The proposals are a little bit smaller as well, but they're going to have a huge wow factor.
Definitely. Awesome. So we're almost done. What is trend number 5?
Drum roll. Trend number 5, lighting. It's all about lighting. And I'm not just speaking to the idea of traditional uplighting that many venues already have, but the idea of the twinkle lights, rooms full of chandeliers, tons of cafe lighting, just really, really using light to play within the environment that the couple is having their wedding ceremony and or reception. And so the pin spotting, if you're even familiar with that term, so lighting up or spotlighting those tables or those lounge vignettes, it's going to become a huge, huge factor into the planning and designing of weddings and events and celebrations next year. And I love the idea of twinkle lights, because right now we're dealing with COVID, trying to keep a lot of things outside. So tents are going to come into play in actually adding those types of lighting elements to the tent to make the environment feel more intimate, more cozy, very nicely done outside. Is going to play a huge role. So I see lighting just really getting an uptick when it comes to planning and designing weddings and celebrations next year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's definitely just my number one favorite type of wedding decor. I love lighting. So
Yes.
it just adds so much to the ambiance. It really sets the mood and it gives that venue that perfect finishing touch. So I love that lighting is going to be a huge trend for this year. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yes, I agree. And never forget candlelight. You can never go wrong with that, but adding the addition of these lighting elements that production companies literally can put together for couples is going to be quite amazing and memorable for the guests as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had clients that it's like the second they step into the room, it's just this wow effect that they get. And you really have no idea until you walk into a room that has the lighting. That's the only way I think you can really understand just how important it is.
Yes, I agree.
Well, good. Well, those were 5 big trends coming up for this year. And let's also talk about the 5 things that are out for this year. So what's the first thing that's a definite no-no for weddings in 2021?
Well, the first definite no-no I see are the colors green and white. So, we've had those beautiful romantic weddings using a lot of whites and a lot of greens. Well, our couples this coming wedding season are going to want to add color. We've been inside for so long dealing with this pandemic, and we all know that color just really will put a smile on your face. So no longer the drab green and white, but don't get me wrong, I do like those colors. We're going to see a lot more of oranges, reds, marigolds blended with copper, also bringing in some purple tones. So any way that we can lighten up the environment, I believe that is going to be the number one trend for next year. We want to be happy. We want to smile at these celebrations, regardless of how they have to take place or if the number has to decrease. Definitely bringing color in is going to set that off. Color can be brought in through the floral, through the stationery, through the lighting, which I just mentioned. So there's going to be so many different ways to incorporate colors, bright colors, into weddings and celebrations.
Definitely. I love that. This is the year to go bold with color and just really have some fun with it.
Yes, I agree. Go bold. No other way to go.
Yes. All right. right. So what is the second thing that is definitely out for this year?
So going out, and I know it's probably already out with most at most locations, but the idea of the buffet luncheon, the brunch, possibly even dinner, but just due to the restrictions, buffets are no longer going to be into play. It's just for a safety precaution. It can become a hazard. And so that type of environment, as I had shared with the going in trend, that's going to add the element of those mini types of desserts or mini hors d'oeuvres. And so those will actually replace the idea of the buffet where someone literally can walk up to a chafing dish and, spoon out or fork out their food onto a plate. That is going to be removed from 2021, and I actually think beyond, just due to what we have been dealing with this year.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. So definitely something for couples to think about when they're planning their catering and their reception. Definitely, I see it as well, that buffets are just not going to be something we're doing this year.
Yeah.
But I love that earlier you had a lot of really fun and creative alternatives.
Yes, thank you.
So how about number 3?
Okay, this trend, I have to say, I never jumped on to this trend, so I believe it's going to be one that is exiting. But the idea of the oversized, massive bouquet. you know, um, for me, it was just never an enjoyable trend. I never got into the idea of witnessing a beautiful woman come down the aisle and the elaborate gown that she has purchased and dreamt about. Is now covered by a very large, oversized bouquet. Regardless of the floral that you use, it just takes away from her beauty in its entirety. And so I have to say, that one is out for me. That one is leaving out the door fairly quickly. The bouquets I see for next year are going to be quaint. They're going to be small and beautiful because the gowns that I have seen on trend have so much detailing and beading in them. And to add a very large bouquet, a very oversized bouquet with some of those very massive flowers is actually going to take away from the beauty of the gown. And so I am looking forward to seeing that trend exit for 2021.
Yes, I totally agree. When they're doing the bouquet toss, you can't even see her face because the flowers are like this big.
Exactly, like covering all of her beauty up. She's paid tons of money for hair and makeup, and then you have this massive bouquet that's just taking away from all of that. Yeah, that's a trend for me. I never got into it, so I am welcoming it out of the door.
Same. All right. So how about trend number 4 that is out for this year?
So the plain and simple white wedding cake is out the door. Because our celebrations and weddings next year are going to be more on the intimate side, and you're not going to need such a large wedding cake, I see couples actually taking time to truly add a lot of detail touches to the wedding cakes. Rather, they are one tier or 2-tier on a beautiful type of cake stand. And so we'll see a lot of color added to these cakes, not just adding a few flowers in here, but a lot of colors, a lot of blinged embellishments added to these cakes, beautiful, rich writing also on the cakes, not just saying, we're getting married or congratulations, but maybe even some type of poetry or scripture or something that is meaningful to the couples. I believe they're going to take a lot more time in planning out weddings in general, and the cake will definitely still play a major role in that, although small, definitely not white and simple. It'll be bold and fabulous in its tiny little space on that table.
I love that. Yeah, and I've always loved a gorgeous over-the-top wedding cake. So I totally agree. The simple cakes can go, and I love to see, what the cake artists can come up with. And there's so many ways you can go, like you were talking about, to design that cake. So I think you're exactly right. I think this is the year to focus on the cake and have some really gorgeous details there.
Definitely. And if it's going to sit out there for them to cut and be in photography, and then we have smaller, more mini cakes coming to the guests, you can go all out on that single or double tiered cake. Why not? Let's have fun with it.
Definitely. All right. So what is the last thing that is out for 2021?
The last thing that is out, and I'm so excited about this one, is the idea of standard plain silver flatware. I'm so happy about this trend that's coming up, but the idea of just the standard flatware that comes with banquet locations and hotels, couples now, because again, having a more intimate celebration, they are truly all about the details. So bringing in flat goldware as well as rose gold goldware with the beautiful handles and embellishments to it can make that tablescape just truly, truly pop. And so I see that becoming a really huge trend for 2021, as well as the idea of the stemware. So, we have our wine glasses and our flutes, and they're pretty much clear. Well, I see couples adding color to their tables by at least making possibly the water glass or the white wine glass have a pop of color, using some greens and some pinks and some soft lavenders as well on the table, depending, of course, on their color scheme.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love all of those ideas, and I'm with you. I'm glad that the boring plain flatware is out, and like we keep saying, this is the year to be bold and go all out and have some fun, especially since everyone's got a little more time on their hands to plan, so you can actually, take the care to plan out each little detail down to the color of your wine glasses and your water glasses. So I absolutely love that.
Yes, I'm so excited about the flatware out the door. Bring in some fabulous flatware. Why not? We have time to do it.
Exactly. Well, awesome. Those were some really great trends, and I'm so excited to see all of these coming to life in weddings over the next year. Now, why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and your company?
Sure. My name is Desiree, as you had shared, and my company's name is Dejanae Events. I am not Dejanae. Dejanae is my daughter, who is my complete inspiration for this business. And I've been in business here in the Chicagoland area for 20 plus years now. And basically, we plan all types of weddings as well as social events. And we also handle corporate events as well. And so really excited to be on here with you today. In addition to Dejanae Events, I'm also an educator and an author. And I have been in the education field within this industry for the last 13 years. So those that are aspiring to be wedding and event planners, I am a certification instructor at college here in Chicago, in which I give them the fundamentals, the ins and outs of running this type of business. And we are always during class sessions talking about trends and making sure we are keeping up with what's going on in the industry.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, you certainly keep yourself busy.
Yes. I don't like to sit still too often.
So Desiree, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. My website is dejanaeevents.com, which is DEJANAEVENTS.com. You can also find me on social media. I'm huge on Instagram and Facebook at that same handle, Dejanae Events. I can be found there. Or if you would just like to chat with me over the phone, you can reach me at 708-790-9940. And I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about your upcoming celebration.
Awesome. Well, Desiree, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and I just love all of the trends and advice that you shared.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, I am honored. This has been great. I truly hope that some of the information I've shared will be helpful with couples planning events next year.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed learning all about this year's latest trends. Now, don't forget, you can catch all of the podcast episodes over at transformyourwedding.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Rent My Wedding, your one-stop shop for event rentals. Order online and rentals are delivered right to your door. Shipping is free both ways nationwide. Rent lighting, backdrops, photo booths, and more. With the most 5-star reviews in the industry, Rent My Wedding makes rentals easy and affordable. Book your rentals today at www.rentmywedding.com.